Still rocking after all these years.
This is the story of my rock and roll butler.
This is it, the show that started it all. Often imitated, but never equal. From San Francisco, USA. Online since 2004. It's the one and only Rock and Roll Geek Show. With the original Rock and Roll Geek, Michael Butler.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, how's it going, John?
Pretty good, buddy. How you doing?
I'm not too bad. Thank you for coming back on the show. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sure, man. What are we going to talk about?
I don't know. What would you like to talk about? I just figured we'd have you back on. And
rock and roll.
Thank you for referring Erin Riley. She was a really fun interview. Everybody seemed to like her.
Oh, good. Yeah, yeah. She's a long time WMMR, I believe, Philadelphia. Music director, maybe? I don't know. Music director? She might have been. She's a nice lady.
Yeah, she was nice. I think we sold a few of her books, too, and her book is not about music at all. But
No,
yeah.
No, it's a tough one, too, man. Some of those guys, I'm like, how can she hang with this guy so long?
Yeah.
You know?
Erin's
a good lady.
I have your book still sitting right next to me, and I'm up in the mountains now for the week, and I have your book sitting right here next to me. So it's a great book.
Good.
Tom Petty and Me, as everybody knows. I think your interview, people seem to like that a lot too. And you told me that you have a lot more rock and roll stories, so that's what we're here to talk about today is more rock and roll stories. What are you doing? What are you doing for a living now?
Selling Tom Petty and Me books, going to the post office every day.
Huh? That's all you're doing for a living?
There's a lot
now.
of Tom Petty fans out there. I'm telling you, there's new ones that come on these social media sites every day.
Wow, that's great. So the book's doing well.
It's doing well. I mean, the word's got around that, how it really happened in the beginning with Tom and myself, and which is great because that's how it happened. That's how it really happened, and the story's true. So the Tom Petty fans are amazing. The one side Tom Petty Nation's got, 60, 70,000 fans. And it seems to me that Tom Petty has just become one of the most iconic rockers in a long, long time.
Yeah.
He was so proficient.
Well, he's like
recording albums.
He's like the Bruce Springsteen of the, of that genre.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he didn't play 3-hour concerts, but he would come pretty close to it. And I saw him do 6 encores. Second time I ever saw him was in Santa Cruz, California, and it seemed like it was a gymnasium. I don't know, and he did 6 encores. And the place was still stomping for more. I went backstage and said, "Hey, man, they still want you to come back." He said, "We don't know any more songs." And so
then you just play the beginning of the set over again. Just start from the top.
That's one of the first bands I've ever seen that did 6 encores.
That's great.
I'm not sure I've seen one since. I don't know.
So that Tom Petty Facebook group, there's 80,000 people in that Facebook group?
Something like that. I don't know exactly what the amount is now, but there's a ton.
I'll bet you there's a lot of podcasters on that group, aren't there?
I don't know for sure, but I know they're fans.
Have you done any podcasts from that group? I'm sure you've been on other podcasts, right?
Boy, I've done a whole bunch of podcasts.
Really?
It's hard to even keep up with what I've done. Huh. I had more fun with you than any of them.
Oh, really? Do tell.
You're a fun guy to be on with an interview. I mean, I just like your style.
Well, that's great. Hopefully, I won't disappoint you this time.
Oh no. So I can start back when I was a young kid. I was 10 years old, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a DJ. Because my mom used to request songs on this local station, country station in Memphis, and every Saturday they'd say her name, and she would just light up like a candle. And do anything to make my mom happy, so I just told her I'm going to be a DJ. And I started, she bought me a tape recorder when I was about 11, I guess, and reading them like I was a DJ. And I became a DJ when I was...
You did like fake radio shows on the cassette recorder?
Yeah.
I think I did that too when I was a kid.
And my father wanted me to go to University of Memphis, and I was just so sad in going to. They had a radio school in Memphis that was just first class. Johnny Cash he went to that radio school. He became a DJ in his first, probably his first job he had. I'm not sure, but my father went. I'll never forget. He went to the bank and he borrowed like, I don't know, $2,500 and said, "You're going to Memphis State, and I don't care about a radio school." And I was like so bummed. I didn't know. I didn't want to go to college. And I remember the opening ceremonies where they say, the whatever they call it, and people are speaking and they say, "Now go to your school that you want to major in." And I'm like looking at the next guy. I said, "I don't even know what school I'm going to. Where are you going?" He said, "Business school." So I went, "Okay, I'll go to business school." And I just hated it. I dropped out after 2 years and decided I was going to go to this radio school. My father made me pay for it, and he was really upset. But I knew I wanted to be a DJ.
How'd you pay for it?
I worked. First jobs I had were at a movie theater, and where, like Tom, I met Elvis. He used to rent the theater out at midnight, and when he'd have about 40, 50 people here, he'd pick out the movie. And I remember my boss saying, if anybody comes over to get candy or whatever, just give it to him. And I thought, well, that's okay. It probably one of his so-called Memphis Mafia guys would come over and get popcorn and stuff. And out of the clear blue, here comes Elvis walking by himself over to the candy counter where I was there.
What kind of candy did you get? You remember what kind of candy you got?
Yeah, I sure do. I'll tell you. I was shaking. I said, "Frick, it's come. Elvis Presley's walking this way."
Now, was this Vegas Elvis or was this the pre?
No, this is the earlier on Elvis. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And he comes over and goes, "How about a couple boxes of those Raisinets?"
Nice. That's my favorite too.
And I'm still shaking. And you know what he said to me?
Let's see. How much do I owe you?
He said, "Thank you. Thank you very much."
Oh, really? Nice.
Swear to you.
That's great.
And another moment in my life was, I think I was about 17, and I heard this song on the radio called "Under Assistant West Coast Promo Man." And I thought, well, that sounds like a pretty cool job. I might want to be a promotion man, too, one day. Not knowing that I would actually become a promotion man, record promotion man. And I went to radio school and got a job up in a small town called Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, and a very small town. And I did the FM Herb Albert and Tijuana brass kind of music stuff. And they didn't want me to talk, just play music. And anyway, I left about a year later. I just couldn't handle a small town like that. And I was ready to go back home. And when I got back, it was a story in the newspaper that said there's a new station. There's a station that's turning from, crappy music, MOR music, to rock and roll. And
FM
I went down there
right?
the next week.
FM?
What?
FM station?
Yeah, it was an FM station. It had 300,000 watts of power. They were grandfathered in 1947. I mean, today I think the most you can get is 100,000 watts, and some are 50,000. But I really I went the next day to wait. I waited for the program director of the station, general manager, whatever it was, get there, and I was like the first person interviewed, and we talked, and I told him about my dreams and stuff, and so he said, "You're hired." So there was about 5 or 6 of us who got hired, And I went on the air, and I remember first night, we could pretty much play what we wanted to, and that was kind of cool. And I got a call from somebody in Alabama. I went, "You're from Alabama? How can you hear me in Memphis?" And he said, "Well, you're coming in loud and clear." I went, so I never really knew what 400,000 watts of power meant until that one night when people were...
Oh, I lost you.
Anyway, yeah, we got to a point where our goal in life in the radio business with all of the DJs was to get together, listen to as many new albums as we could, find the gems, and then play the hell out of them.
What year was this when that station? That was the first station you could play your own style, anything you wanted. Was that the first station?
Well, no, I think KSAN in San Francisco.
No, I mean the first station you worked at where you could play your own music.
Second station.
What year was that?
It was 1967.
Okay. What do you remember the first song you played?
"Sock It to Me Baby" by Mitch Ryder.
Ah, sweet.
And the Detroit Wheels.
Nice.
And
I think there's a guy who listens.
Excuse me. And it was just like, unbelievable amount of fun because they let us play what we wanted to play. And we were playing, Endagata Vida and Light My Fire, the long versions of all the songs. And
yeah. Those are called bathroom break songs. Those are the bathroom break songs.
Well, those are more than bathroom breaks. There's the bathroom breaks, and then you go upstairs on the roof, and you had 5 minutes left over when you got back.
Oh, nice, yeah.
When I say go up on the roof, it means I got to the point. I got to the point. I smoked another joint so I could be as high as my listeners were. And, yeah, those songs, Endagata Vida, I went to some kind of event, and Iron Butterfly was playing, and I had to make a little speech afterwards. And I said, Endagata Vida is like, if you don't know this, Endagata Vida is one of the greatest DJ songs in the world because it's like 18 minutes long. And people kind of got the point of what I was talking about. But I was there till, around 1974, but record promotion guys started coming around the station. Excuse me, Michael. And because we were playing artists way before anybody else in the country, ZZ Top, David Bowie. We played David Bowie when we had a song out on our Glastonbury Fair album from London or England. And then Hunky Dory came along, and we were just playing the hell out of that. And people were buying it like crazy, and they granted me an interview 3 or 4 months before the Ziggy album came out with David Bowie. And I did the interview, and we knew a lot about David Bowie. I mean, we knew more than he possibly could imagine. We blew his mind.
Well, when Ziggy was out, he was already big at that time. That's when he was big.
Yeah, just becoming big. Hunky Dory, set the stage for him, and he explained what Ziggy Stardust was all about to us, and we had an hour interview, and it was amazing. It was just amazing because he would just stop and say, how do you guys know all this stuff? And it was like, we knew his son's name, we knew his wife's name, we knew what songs he had in the can. And
so, was you and somebody else interviewing David Bowie? Yeah,
a friend of mine named Grover DeLuca, and we were just Bowie fanatics. And so, his first stop was going to be in Memphis. That's how much he loved Memphis as well, because Sun Records and stuff, and Elvis.
Yeah.
And it became the second stop on the tour because Cleveland started playing the album as well. So logistically, it was Cleveland, then Memphis. And he did 2 shows, one at 3 o'clock and one at 7 o'clock.
This was to promote. This was to promote. I'm sorry. I know I keep interrupting. I apologize, but this was
Ziggy Stardust.
This was to promote Ziggy Stardust. Okay, so this was the big one.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And about 3 days, maybe a week later, after I did the interview with him,
did he come in to do? Did he come in to do the interview, or was it a phoner?
It was a phoner. He was in London.
Okay.
I think he just got up at about 9 in the morning, 8 in the morning, something like that.
So he was promoting his tour. He was doing interviews at all his tour stops, I guess.
Well, I don't know if he did any other interviews besides that, because I haven't found one.
Huh.
We've got an interview about it's only about 4 minutes or so, and the quality is not great. Somebody got a copy of the tape, and I lost mine in a flood in California. And the guy wanted to charge me $3,500 to give me a copy of the tape.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Oh yeah, really nice guy, asshole. And then he wanted $5,000. I'm like, dude,
how he got the tape? He was
he was a guy who went around to record company people who were leaving the business, and he would go through their closets.
Huh.
And by chance, he went through the closet of an RCA A&R guy, where we got a lot of information about David Bowie from. And he sent me a picture of it and said, "Look what I found." And it was the actual tape that we recorded. And he teased me for maybe a year.
This was a friend of yours?
Maybe I'll give it to you. No, I never knew that. I have no idea who the guy was. He has a vintage store in Pasadena, California.
Oh, one of those guys.
And I would like to shoot the guy. I shouldn't say that. But he ended up selling it. He told me, I'll sell it. I'll give it to you for $3,500. I just said, this is something I want to keep for my legacy, my grandkids, my daughter. and then he turns around and he calls me back and says, "Well, I just sold it to somebody else for $5,000."
Uh-huh.
And it's like,
he's lying.
Whatever. But we do have a bit of it on YouTube. The sound quality is not great, but the sound quality he had was perfection. And about a week later, an album comes in to the station, and it's from a guy named D. Jones from London, England.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going, I have no idea what this is, and I open it up, and David Bowie, a.k.a. is David Jones.
Right.
And so that's where it came from. And we had the first copy in America of Ziggy Stardust.
Now, was it just a cassette, or was it the full?
No, it was an actual album. I've got framed on my wall. This is first copy of Ziggy Stardust in the United States.
Huh.
And so we were playing it before anybody in America. And I was reporting to stations, these trade magazines, that we were playing Ziggy Stardust, and people started calling them, "Where'd you guys get this record?" And we sold so many albums, and that was our goal. We loved hearing the record store in Memphis call us up and say, "All right, who are you playing?" And obviously the record was selling, but we would be banging it if it was good. We never wanted to play a bad album.
Were you
what
playing?
We considered a bad album.
Were you playing all cuts from the album, or just the single?
On Ziggy?
Yeah.
Oh, everything.
Okay, so there was not a suggested song, or because I know the first single I think was Suffragette City, but there was no suggestion songs to play?
Not at that time.
Okay.
No, he just sent it to us out of the blue, and we couldn't believe we had it. And I'm guessing it was 3 or 4 months before the album actually came out. It was his copy, and then he came after the concerts that night. He came over to our house. We had a little party, and knocked on the door, and it was him and his wife Angie.
Huh.
And I couldn't tell who was David Bowie. I swear to God.
Oh, really?
It was they were dressed almost exactly alike in costume. And
did Mick Ronson show up?
No, I don't believe Mick. Well, with Bowie's there, I didn't really care who else was there, but at the time, until I heard all the young dudes. All the way to Memphis is what.
Are you talking about Ian Hunter or Mott the Hoople?
Yeah. Mott the Hoople, yeah. Were they back at his backing band? I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Mick Ronson played with Ian Hunter after he left Bowie.
Yeah. So, it was great. It was a great time in music because music back then was like people who really cared about their music.
Exactly. That was the early 70s.
They played with passion, and the quality of the music was incredible. I don't think we'll ever go through that again.
Well, there were not the albums were great top to bottom, and it wasn't just Ziggy Stardust's album. Everybody's album was great top to bottom.
Crosby, Stills, and Nash, man. Every cut was a classic, you know.
Yeah, that was the way it was in the 70s.
Exactly. And ZZ Top, we jumped on their first album, and the first place they ever played outside of Texas was Memphis, and they played at a blues festival, and then about a month later they came back and headlined, and we sold about 3,000 tickets. And this is my memory of what we were doing with a band like ZZ Top, playing the hell out of it, record selling, and the manager would call me every Tuesday and say, "How's my band doing?"
Uh-huh.
And one day I was in just whatever mood, I don't know.
Now, you're the DJ, right? Still at this time.
I'm the music director.
Music director. So how do you know how the band's doing? By the amount of people calling in?
That and the record sales.
So the music manager.
And we track.
Oh, the radio station does track the sales. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, big time. I mean, that's what one of our goals was, to have the record store call us and go, "Who you playing?" Uh-huh. And anyway.
Man, what a time to be a DJ.
Oh my God, you can't even imagine. I mean, hearing the first notes of Procol Harum, you know, oh my God, it was just beautiful. I mean, you just would sit there and go, "My God, this music is so good."
And you guys had a lot of power in the music business.
We did, because of our signal strength and our determination to break artists. That was our goal. Anyway, the manager of ZZ Top called, what I was saying a few minutes ago, he called and said, "So how's my band doing?" And I said, "What band are you talking about, Bill?" Bill Ham was his manager. And he started laughing. "You know, John, you know who I'm talking about." And I said, "You mean that little old band from Texas?" And he goes, "Can I use that?"
Oh, really?
I said,
you made that up?
Use what? He said, "That little old band from Texas." I said, "Yeah, I don't care. Go ahead, use it, whatever."
You know, I think I might have heard Billy Gibbons tell this story on a radio show.
Well, he would always come to the station for interviews, and when he would leave, he was an incredible artist. He would draw these pictures of him.
Oh, that kind of art.
Playing guitar on this, you know, what kind of art paper, whatever they call it. You know, he's an incredible painter or artist. That. Yeah, and that's my memory of that story, okay? Because, I mean, back then, you know, you had to be on the same level with your artists.
Yeah.
I mean, with your listening audience.
Right.
And so some of those stories are a little, you know, a little
hazy.
Not embellished.
Okay.
They can be hazy, yeah. I think we warped a few people's brains by playing "Time Has Come Today" by the Chambers Brothers, and you know, an 18-minute version of Alice's Restaurant. And but anyway, it was a great time for music. But promotion people started coming around. Record company promotion guys started hanging out in Memphis because they knew we had the big station, big power, and we were breaking records. And I got to know most of them. And one day, I think it was 1974, I think, one of the guys from MCA said, "You know, we really think you got a good ear for music. We'd like to hire you." And I was in love with radio so much, I was going, "Really?" And then he said, "You got an expense account, and you'll be making this much money," which was more than a DJ was making. And a lot of DJs will tell you, Michael, that they would have done it for free.
Right.
And, you know, because it's just something that you just love.
Not to mention when the record companies would come around, the promote radio guys, they would always bring, I mean, I'm assuming the payola stories are true. Not necessarily money payola, but, you know, the cocaine and hookers and all. And
well, no, not really hookers. I don't ever remember that. But some of the other stuff you're talking about, yes, that was true. But it was never payola with us because we just wouldn't play a bad album that we felt was a bad album, just a piece of crap. Because we knew our listeners would just they would get it right away that was just a piece of crap.
I was one of those listeners. I sat
yeah, and FM radio sales in Memphis just skyrocketed after we came on the air. And because there were really not many cars that had FM radio stations.
This was around 74.
FM radios in the car.
This is around 74, something like that.
Well, 67 we came on the air, and I think in 1970, record sales of FM radios just shot through the roof.
ZZ Top's first album was what, Ziggy was like Ziggy was like 73, something like that.
So like 73, I believe.
Yeah.
And
this was the early 70s when you got offered the job at MCA.
Well, 74.
74.
So I was there from 67 to 74.
That was right in the perfect time for music, too.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine? I mean, whiter shade of pale, like I said, Procol hair, I mean, it just mesmerizes you. And you sit there and you know it because people are calling going, who are you playing? This is beautiful music, And like I said, that's never going to happen again. You know that.
Yeah. Definitely won't ever happen again.
At least that's my opinion. But so I took the job as a record promotion man
for MCA.
And for MCA Records, I was a local Memphis, Nashville, Little Rock promotion man. And I'm kind of going, well, this is pretty cool. I get to the office and I got a call from my boss in Los Angeles. He said, we're sending Olivia Newton-John to Memphis, and you're going to go to Nashville and play a guy named Scott Shannon, who ran a station called WMAK.
World famous.
You're going to play her new single and have dinner with him. And I was like, scared to death. Because not scared to death. It was just I was nervous. Let's put it that way.
Because Scott Shannon was a legend, or why?
Well, because Olivia Newton-John was beautiful, and she was becoming a legend.
Ah, okay. So you went there with Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah, and when she got to Memphis, I had her picked up in a limo, and I was at the hotel. And we came inside. I'm going, boy, she is so nice and so beautiful, and just a joy to work with. And she said, it was like 90 degrees in Memphis at that time, and humidity, and it was like 106, and we had a couple hours to kill. And she said, "Do you mind if I take a swim?" Ooh. And I said, "No, I'll just stay in it." Yeah, go ahead. I'll just stay here and read Billboard or whatever it was. And so she goes in and then comes out in a smoking hot Australian bikini. And I'm going, this is going to be a pretty good job.
Were you married at the time?
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
I was. I had no intention of doing anything because I knew I'd probably lose my job if I did.
Right.
But she's walking out the door. She goes, oh no. And when what? She said, I lost the contact lens.
Oh.
And so I got on the floor with her in the shag carpet hotel, and all of a sudden I look up and her butt's right in my face, and I'm going, this is really going to be a good job.
Yeah. Was that the first? Was that the first time? The first job, the first thing like that you had to do to go wine and dine somebody with an artist?
Yeah, exactly. And I knew Scott because he worked at a station, top 40 station, against me on my time shift, 7 to midnight.
Yeah, he's one of the most famous DJs of all time.
Oh my God, he is so good. It was like, boy, this guy is really good. And he started playing the thing called the Power Hour at 11 o'clock, and he would just take every song we were playing big time, and for an hour just try to play the same songs as we were. But I went to Nashville with her, and we had this cassette of new songs that are coming out on MCA Records, a cassette or an 8-track, I don't remember what it was, but we were driving, and I popped it in the car, and me and Olivia were listening to it. And we'd kind of go, hey, that's pretty good. And, oh, that's terrible. Oh, God. And then we came to a little reggae song. And we both looked at each other like, hey, this is pretty good. This is a good little song. And she said, yeah, but they got one problem. the name of the band is Mudcrutch.
Ah, okay, that's Tom Petty. Okay.
And so, but I didn't know that. And so I took it to a station, an FM station in Nashville, and they added the record. And I'm like, kind of like my first ad as a promotion guy. And I called Los Angeles and said, I got my first ad, Mudcrutch, Depot Street. And they said, John, that's a single. It's on Shelter Records. There's no album. Forget about it. Just work on Olivia Newton-John's record. And I kind of went, okay. And they said, forget about Mudcrutch, and I did. And so we took Scott out that night and had a great dinner. And on the way back to the station, he was in the back seat. And Olivia said, hey, would you like to play Scott my new single? I said, sure. So I popped in the cassette in the car and starts playing. And she said, you're playing the wrong single. She's kind of whispering it to me. And I'm going, whoa, Scott, that's the wrong single. And he said, no, don't. I want to hear this song. Don't stop it. And I'm going, okay. And Olivia said, actually, she said, well, that's the first song I wanted MCA to release, but they didn't listen to me. So he said, don't stop that song. And he said, I'm going to go in. And we dropped him off at the station. He said, sit here. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to put this record on the turntable or tape or whatever it was. And I'm sitting in the car going, oh, God, I really screwed this one up like a young promotion man's first mistake. And he came out in the car. He said, that's a hit record, Olivia. We're going to start playing it. And I remember calling my boss at MCA again. He said, well, I played the wrong single, but Scott Shannon is starting to play it. And I waited I think I waited 3 or 4 days, 5 days before I called and told them this. And they said, well, tell Scott Shannon to take that record off the radio. You're playing the wrong single. And I'd call Scott, and he said, well, tell them to go F themselves.
I can't
because
say
it's my
that
number one. It's my number one requested record right now. And the song that I accidentally played was I Honestly Love You.
Ah, okay. Huge.
And huge. And so they went all full guns with I Honestly Love You. But, that was that was one of those things where you just kind of go, I got lucky on that one.
Yeah.
But those were good times for me. I really I remember when I was a kid, 17, 18, I would hear The Who on the radio. And then when I was a DJ, I would be playing The Who. And the next thing I know, I'm sitting in a private plane as a promotion man, sitting next to Pete Townsend and going, this is the dream, man. This is the dream job. And
now, what Who record did you were you assigned to promote? They were on MCA.
Oh God!
I guess they were.
Pardon?
They were on MCA. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they were on MCA. And I can't remember what album it was, but
74.
It might have been the one with Squeezebox on it. I can't remember the name of the album, but
I don't know. So that was before Who's Next. No, it was after. That would be after Who's Next.
Yeah, it would be after Who's Next, yeah. And there's a famous... MCA was desperate to keep The Who on their label, and The Who were always screwing with them like, all right, we want a solo album for each of our members of the band, or we're going to leave MCA. Huh. And so MCA gave each one of them a solo album. And I believe Roger Daltrey's was the first one, Ride a Rock Horse. And I went on a 2-week promotion with that guy to radio stations and to record stores. In the first record store, 5,000 kids showed up to get his autograph, and they pushed open in a shopping mall one of the big glass windows. And the police were there, and they kind of caught the window, thank God. And so they said, we're not doing any more record stores, autograph signings. And I think about 10, they had them set up in about 10 cities, and all these stations, record stores had bought 1,000 albums or whatever. But that was an exciting time period because he was Roger Daltrey.
Yeah.
you know, and the amount of girls that tried to get around him were just amazing.
Huh.
And I will tell you this: one of the things the management said that to me, because at that time I had risen to head of album promotion in Los Angeles. They had moved me to Los Angeles, and the manager said, "We want at least a 6-foot-tall, red-headed girl in his room when he gets through with the radio station dinner."
Wait a minute. Hold on. So
Yep.
So Roger Daltrey. So was that Kit Lambert? Is that the manager?
No, the manager was Bill Kirbishley.
Okay. So
I'll probably get a phone call on this one.
Roger Daltrey's manager told you that you had to have a 6-foot redhead in his dressing room?
No, in his hotel room.
In his hotel room.
Yeah.
Huh.
And we would go out and we would go to a record store, meet the record store people.
Good to
and
be
we'd
the
have
king.
dinner with the. Huh?
It's good to be the king.
Just for a while.
So,
but
now
I had to call the local promotion guy and say, "Look, this is what the management wants to do." And one guy, the guy in Dallas, his name was Ed Spacek. He was Sissy Spacek's brother, and he said, I'm a really religious person. I can't do that. Beep. And I said, well, do you want your job? This is what they're telling me. And so he came through. Now, I'll probably get calls in this story, Michael.
So
better tone this one down.
This guy came through with a 6-foot redhead. Where do you find a 6?
Yep.
So I guess you just find a prostitute, I guess, huh?
Well, I can't say that. I don't know. I left it up to them. Each promotion man in each city.
Huh. I wonder if he asked for a 6-foot redhead in every town, or maybe tonight I want a 6-foot blonde, or I want a 3-foot blonde, or.
It seemed to be redheads. I don't know why. He's a short guy too. I didn't quite understand it.
He wanted a redhead in every, so he had a thing for redheads. He just didn't want variety. He wanted redheads every time.
Yeah, that's right.
Huh.
And somebody's going to say BS on this story, but it's the truth. And Roger, I apologize for telling the story. Bill Kirbishley, I apologize for telling the story.
Roger Daltrey, come on the Rock and Roll Geek Show to dispute it.
Well, he would, but they had during the tour, the next tour. I think it was might have been Who's Next. I can't remember. Hey, what's the song? Whatever the album with Squeezebox is on.
That might be Who by Numbers.
Who by Numbers. That's where it was.
Yeah.
That's where it was, and they wanted to throw a party in the first city that the Who came from, and just to keep them happy. And they wanted to rent a big ballroom out. And money is no object. You can spend as much as you want to the local Houston guy and myself. And they invited maybe 300 people from around the world, reporters, DJs, you name it. Anybody who had something to do with the music business, record store buyers, came to this party, and you would walk in the door, and since money was no object, we did a thing where you said, I want a Jack and Coke, and we would hand them the whole bottle of Jack Daniels.
Uh-huh.
You want a glass of champagne?
And
yeah.
They handed you the whole bottle of Jack and then a big bag of Coke, right?
Coca-Cola. And
that was an easy one.
Well, they had, actually somebody came up with the idea of having something that meant something to each song on that album, like Squeezebox.
Uh-huh.
We had a stage with 5, should I say strippers, and they were playing a little accordion. And there's a song called Slip Kid.
Uh-huh.
And we had this 30-foot slide that went round and round.
Uh-huh.
It was a big ballroom. But every song had something that meant something to that song. And they wanted people drunk and have a good time and have the Who come down. And I went upstairs to get the band, and they were arguing with their manager about the plane they were flying in. They said it's a piece of crap plane. And I remember kind of going, guys, we were having a party downstairs with a lot of people. And I'll never forget Keith Moon's roadie. He tells his roadie to go downstairs and check out this party to see if the Who are even worthy of coming to this party. And I'm kind of going, oh my God. And so I went down with his roadie.
You had to make sure. You had to make sure the party was happening.
Well, it was happening when I left to go upstairs, and but the girl they all had their clothes on, and that when I walked in with the roadie, I signaled to my promo guy there, and they dropped their tops. And Keith Moon was playing squeeze. He grabbed a squeeze box and starts playing the squeeze box.
This is in the party or in the hotel room?
In the ballroom.
Oh, okay, nice.
Of the hotel.
You had topless girls playing accordion. Keith, was John Entwistle there?
He was there. Everybody was there. Roger Daltrey came in for about 10 seconds, and he was off with a girl. But it really got out of hand because Keith had a bottle of Cavassier in each hand, and he'd probably been drinking, all day and all night. Uh-huh. But the party got out of hand. People can probably Google Houston, The Who, and probably see pictures actually of what happened. I don't know if I can even tell you on the podcast what happened.
Well, there's no FCC. You can tell me.
No, I can't. I can't tell you what happened. I'll give you this. Keith Moon asked one of the girls to do something to his roadie.
Oh, blow the roadie. Okay, the podcast.
I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that.
You didn't say it. The podcast host said it.
And so she does. Uh-huh. And then 300 people kind of get in a round circle, kind of going, what the hell is going on over here?
Oh, now the roadie's got performance anxiety.
And so then he told her to do something else. And then the police, we had security there, we knew, and they said, just don't let this thing get out of hand. And we were, we didn't expect this. And all of a sudden they went over when this next act was attempted, and they put handcuffs on Keith Moon. And then Townsend came over to, help Keith Moon, and he gets handcuffed. Entwistle goes over, and he gets handcuffed because they're all raising the stink about Keith, being arrested. They arrested them all, took them out of the party, and all of a sudden the lights come on in the ballroom, and everybody's going, what the hell just happened? Who were here for 10 minutes. And so me and my local guy had to bail out of jail. And this is, I don't know what time, 2 a.m, something. We got back to the hotel, and I was in his room, and the red light was blinking on the phone. And he was like, I don't want to answer this. I'm not going to see who called me. I don't want to know. And then we were sitting there. He said, okay, I'm going to see who called. And there was a message from the president of MCA Records saying, please come to room 1200, whatever it was. And whatever the time is, I don't care, get up here. And my buddy, who just got his job, said, I'm going to lose this job. They're going to fire the hell out of me. And we get up to the president's room, and he opens the door, and he goes to my friend, my local promotion Houston guy, have you been drinking tonight? And he said, oh, no, sir. I wanted to be, calm, and, this party was a big deal, and I hadn't had a drink whatsoever. And he said, the president reaches over and grabs a bottle of Cristal champagne, pours both of his glass. He said, I just want to tell you, that was the best damn rock and roll party I've ever seen in my life. And he asked me if he wants to move to Los Angeles to be a promotion man in Los Angeles. He's like, we thought we were going to lose our jobs. But so Google the Who, Houston, Who by numbers, and there are pictures up there. Some. I think I have the best ones of them.
He had never seen a public sex show before.
I don't think anybody had, to my knowledge anyway. It was the first stop on the tour as well.
I'm looking at this. When Keith Moon got wild as the Who began their 1975 U.S. tour. That's on Classic Rock.
The first city they played was Houston. And it was the opening night of the new Houston...
The Houston Oaks Hotel. Was that the hotel?
I don't remember. All I know is it was next door to the arena, which was his opening concert for this new arena in Houston. And my buddy was really creative. He went to the city council before they came and said, "Can I put up signs over where it says Houston population, whatever, and it says Houston, WHO, and everybody wanted this facility to be great, so they said, "Yeah, go ahead, do it." And so he puts up signs on the freeway. It says Houston.
Yeah.
And a neighbor, I was telling a story to a neighbor of mine. He said, "John, I just want to tell you, this is crazy, but I was 16 years old. I was doing acid that night. I went to the Who concert, and we're driving down the freeway, and I tell my buddy, I just saw a sign that said Houston." And my buddy went, You're just screwed up. There's no sign that says Houston." And they were all over the place. So, I mean, it was just like one of those nights you never forget, man.
There's a picture of Keith Moon with two topless girls, and he's holding the accordion.
If you can get the other pictures, good luck.
And the girl's eyes are blacked out to protect the innocent.
Oh, really?
Oh, here's another. Yeah, the girls who are topless, there's like a black line over their eyes, so you can't see the girls. And they all have perfect breasts too, by the way.
Well, one could reach around with her right arm to the left one.
Keith Moon is wearing a cowboy hat, of course, because he's in Texas.
Oh yeah, that was Houston. So it was one of the best parties I've ever been to or ever been a part of.
I can imagine.
God, I'm gonna get killed for telling these stories, Michael. How do you get me into this?
I don't know. That's great. Keith Moon, man, what a guy. I heard John Entwistle was just as much of a partier as Keith Moon, too.
I don't think anybody was as much as a partier as Keith Moon.
According to John Entwistle's book,
yeah,
he was as wild as Keith Moon, but Keith Moon...
Well, I never saw that. I never saw that side of him. I did have to... Keith's album came, I think they paid him $250,000 each one of them. I don't know how much money it was, but a lot of money to record a solo album.
Uh-huh.
And Daltrey recorded his. It was great. We went on our tour, and then Keith Moon recorded one called Two Sides of the Moon.
Uh-huh.
And it was awful. Awful.
Yeah.
He recorded it in 24 hours straight. And he didn't drum, he just sang. And if you have that album, it's awful. And
now, which Pete Townsend solo album?
Can't remember. I got fired before that.
Oh, okay.
But
I'm looking for you in some of these pictures.
Oh, there's a few. I'm kind of sneaking my head through a couple of pictures. But
these girls are all super hot too. That are topless.
Oh my God, were they ever?
Before they had breast augmentation, they had perfect boobs.
I didn't say that. Okay, I did not say that. But I will tell you, I had to. I would play DJs advanced copies of Keith Moon's album. They're going, "Sean, we can't play that record. It's awful."
Yeah.
And then he had some of the greatest musicians backing him up, but it was a 24-hour party that resulted in an album. And I had to promote one of the worst records I've ever heard in my life. And so... Is
that why you got fired from MCA? No.
No, that was Johnny Cougar. That's later on.
Oh, right. Okay. We talked about that on last time.
Yeah, this might be another part of the podcast, the Johnny Cougar story. But where was it? So I had to devise a way of trying to promote a Keith Moon album that was awful. And so me and my partner, we would go out on the back lot of Universal Studios where MCA was at, and we could sit out in the back lot, and we would see movie stars, and we would just go outside, out in the back, and just kind of sit and think of crazy things to do. And so I said, well, what if we hired a girl to go around to all the trade magazines with us, and we'll get Keith to go, because Keith never did interviews. So everybody wanted to talk to Keith Moon,
uh-huh.
And he was coming to the station. So we said, what if we hire a girl to just do 1, 2, 3, she turns around and drops her pants. And And my buddy said, that's a good one. That's a great idea.
So is she going to drop her pants at the radio station or in front of Keith?
No, at the radio stations, the trade magazines, everywhere.
Uh-huh.
She was in on it. And we told our boss that, and he's like, you guys are freaking nuts. But I kind of like that promotion.
Uh-huh,
and
yeah. Can I be there?
So I had to call Universal Studios casting department and tell them we wanted 20 girls to come down. And listen, I'm not this kind of guy, okay? I'm not.
Yeah,
to your listeners,
I know,
okay?
I know. Nobody
I'm
thinks,
really...
You're not going to get Me Too. No, don't worry. It's Michael Butler. It's Michael Butler, a rockandrollgeek@gmail.com. You can Me Too me.
One of the greatest... I sell more records, more books, I'm telling you, from your podcast than anybody.
Oh, really? Huh?
I did.
Wow,
it was amazing.
That's great. Fucking awesome.
Yeah,
man.
You got a lot of faithful listeners out there.
Oh, thank you so much, friends. I appreciate you supporting the Rock and Roll Geek Show and supporting Jon Scott.
You make a Patreon. Be a Patreon.
Exactly. Bye,
anyway,
Tom Petty and me, Jon Scott.
A little payola to go in there. But anyway, so we devised this thing where we called up Central Casting. We said we need 20 girls to come up and audition for a promotion we're doing.
Huh? Did you?
And they have to come up and drop their pants.
Oh, you did tell the casting that they had to drop their pants.
Yes, and they said, get your boss on the phone.
Uh-oh.
And so I went, but my boss was kind of into the idea because it wasn't, I don't think this would ever happen again. But they said, okay, because these girls were actresses and they needed work. And so I remember coming up the next morning and there were like 20 beautiful girls. And each one of them would come into my office and my partner and they would go, hi, how you doing? Oh, my name's Janet. Okay, turn around, drop your pants.
Oh, really? Nice. And you had to audition them for sure.
Well, we had a thing called the ass scorecard.
Yeah, exactly. Just doing your
job. And so we would, and one girl came in and said, screw you guys. What is this about?
Oh,
so didn't know that.
She didn't know she had.
They did, except for one. But it was a job for them, and back then it was just cool. It was not off limits. And so on the fifth girl, we found her, but we had to see all 20.
Of course.
Just because.
Just some quality control.
There was nothing dirty about this in our minds. We weren't we weren't being dirty old men.
No, hell no. No. It's art.
And so we pick her up and we take Keith over there and he's going, well, let me see. I got to check it out first. And so he does. And we get in a limo and we go to these places and the first place we went to.
Can I interrupt for a second? When she drops her pants, now when she drops her pants, are you only seeing the back side or the full?
Yeah, only the back. Only the back side.
Not the full circle, okay.
No, because on the album he actually had a picture of a girl's butt. And that kind of gave us the idea of two sides of the moon. That was the name of the album.
Okay,
I'm a famous mooner, so you kind of fit in with me. But like I said, it wouldn't work today, and I apologize for anybody I've offended. But so we made the front page of every trade magazine. Radio and Records was the biggest magazine back then, and the girl that was the president, she was in the picture. She just the picture of her is putting her hands over her face going, "Oh my God," and the girl standing there, and the photographers, it was just perfect. I think we made every trade magazine there was, but nobody played the album.
Do you remember who the girl was?
Well, yes and no. No, I don't remember who she was. We named her Harriet. Yeah, I don't know who she was. We had a nickname for her. Are you looking for?
I'm looking at the track list. He did the Kids Are All Right. He covered the Kids Are All Right on that album.
Who?
Keith Moon.
He did?
That is on there. There's a Beach Boys song, Don't Worry Baby.
Don't Worry Baby. And he's singing.
Teenage Idol, that might be an Alex Harvey song. There's a Beatles song on that album. There's a Harry Nilsson tune, Together.
Harry Nilsson was in the session.
Yeah, Richard.
You look at the players in the session, you won't believe all the famous people that
that's
were on
the
the session.
Hollywood Vampires. Harry
Probably.
Nilsson, Harry Nilsson, Ringo Starr.
I think Ricky Nelson was there. But a lot of
that album
fabulous.
didn't sell, huh? with Kids Are. Did he sang all the tunes?
Every tune he sang. He didn't play drums. Somebody else was playing drums.
Huh.
And it was kind of like, how do you promote a record that's terrible? And so we did the best we could.
It's got a lot of good songs on it. Joe Walsh.
Oh yeah, well listen,
Joe Walsh.
Go to Amazon and get a copy.
He's got Joe Walsh on that album.
Yeah. Oh, like I said, it was a 24-hour party.
Top-notch musicians. Got Flo and Eddie doing backing vocals.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to look for that album. I bet it's better than you.
Oh yeah, you got to look for it. And
I'm gonna play it on this episode. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna see if I can find it on Amazon Music. And try to play a song.
I wonder if it's up there. I don't even know. It's got to be, I guess. But that was quite a lot of fun.
Did you do radio for Leonard Skinner?
I did.
I
worked with Leonard Skinner.
They were on MC. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. That's home of Leonard Skinner.
Yeah, I was moved from Memphis to Atlanta, and that was right when the first Leonard Skinner album came out.
Pronounced.
And there was a party at a small club, and they flew in a lot of trade magazine reviewers and Circus Magazine, Record World, and there were 3 bands there. I don't even remember the first 2 bands, but here comes this band coming out last. Al Cooper was on his label, Sounds of the South.
He produced them.
And here comes a band walking out, and the lead singer has no shoes on.
Yeah, flip flops, I think.
And there's no,
barefoot.
no, he's barefoot.
Barefoot.
Oh yeah. If you can find me a picture of him with flip flops, I'll up my Patreon shit. But and they had 3 guitar players, and we're like, what the hell? And they go in and they just kick our ass.
Those
right?
guys fucking
people
wailed.
and then people are basically standing on their chairs at the end. It's a small club.
Yeah.
Maybe 200 people there. All radio influencers, magazines and like that. And when they hit Freebird, it was like, holy crap. My God. And I got to work with them because I was in Atlanta. And
so were you in charge of breaking that first album?
I wouldn't say that I was in charge of breaking it. No, I just was part of the scene in Atlanta because I get to hang out with them.
Uh-huh.
And that was pretty crazy because those guys were incredible musicians, but they would fight each other at the drop of a hat.
Oh yeah, they were rednecks.
Oh. But if they liked you, you're in good shape.
Yeah, but they fought each
you're
other.
In good shape.
They liked to.
They would. Somebody say something to Ronnie, and he'd just smack them.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I saw Artemis Pyle get thrown over a hot dog stand cart at a party.
What about Alan Collins? Did you know him, the guitar player?
Oh yeah, Gary. I knew all of them.
That guy was the first one to die because he had a lot of car. He used to smash it. He used to smash his cars regularly, and he got in so many drunk driving accidents that he was paralyzed. That's when he.
That smell. That song, The Smell. Yeah. Oh, that smell, right?
That guy was a great guitar player. He was a rock star.
Oh my God,
too,
he was incredible. They were all incredible musicians. I mean, the guitars just wail.
Yeah.
And
I saw
them.
My mom took me to a keg party they played at when I was a little kid, and they played. It was them and the Allman Brothers. It was like this was. I think this was before their first album even was recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Jacksonville, Florida, a place called Greenfield Stables.
Really, I remember going there and playing a gigantic concert at a stadium. I can't remember what year that was, but I saw them open for the Who.
Yeah, that's famous. They famously blew the Who off the stage. That was the famous.
Blew them off the stage. I mean, people for 45 minutes were yelling Freebird.
Yeah.
And it was 60,000 people at a Day on the Green in
California.
Oakland.
That's right. Yep.
Bill Graham presents, and the Who were like stunned. They were like, they didn't know when to go go on stage because the crowd was still screaming Freebird.
This was the Rolling. They opened for the Stones, right? Not the Who. Was it Stones or the Who?
Well, they did open for the Stones, I think, at one time, but this particular one was the Who.
Yeah.
Never seen anything like it in my life. How can you follow Freebird?
Yeah, exactly.
You can't.
When you do that 3-man guitar solo at the end.
Oh, my God.
Know,
it's incredible.
Yeah. Were you working? Were you working there when they did the live album? Or were you working at MCA?
I don't think so. What was that live album?
One more from recorded at the Fox Theater in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, yes. As a matter of fact, on the inside sleeve of that album, there's a picture of me, and there's a picture of people who helped him, helped him over the years, and picture of Cameron Crowe, and picture of myself.
I gotta look I have that on vinyl back in San Francisco.
Find the inner sleeve.
I'm gonna have to pull
Find the inner sleeve. It's really cool. But I'm about talked out, Michael. How long has this been going on?
We're an hour. We can wrap it up if you want. We can schedule.
Well, I got more after that, but
we can do a part 2 another time. We got to get you back on.
I'd love to be back on because you're so much fun to talk to.
I cannot get enough of these rock and roll stories, man. I'm telling you, I can listen to them all day.
I don't know how you got this out of me, but it was your fault.
All right. Well, Jon Scott, we'll have you back on again. The book is called... Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. You do it.
Oh, you got to let me talk about the name of the book. It's called Tom Petty and Me, Jon Scott. And it's not that long of a book. The fonts are big. It's got pictures, and it's a super fast read. I mean, a real fast read.
That's what I wanted, Michael. I get these 400-page, biographies of Bob Dylan, and I can barely get through one chapter in a night. And I don't want that. I want to be able to make it just get to the point, And I didn't go into any, my childhood or Tom's childhood, and it just started when I first met him.
People don't really want to hear the childhood stuff.
I don't think so. I mean, most everybody knew what Tom's childhood is. His father was, abusive and whatever. But so I didn't go into any of that. I just wanted, like I said, I wanted a quick, easy read. I want to be able for the fans to see what it took to get a band from this point to selling 80 million records, and what it was like to be in the music business back then. And the faxes in my book are by far I get so many people talking to me about the faxes that Tom and I did.
Right. Yeah.
We actually faxed each other.
That's why I didn't ask you about it, because I when I was researching before the last time you came on, every interview asked about those faxes.
Yeah, the faxes are amazing because it shows Tom as a person,
right?
Not a rock star, and they're funny too. Every fax he sent had some kind of either doodle or some stupid little crazy little saying, And I saved them all. I still have them on the original paper. I've got them in what do they call it? Under glass at studio. I mean, crap. I can't think of the name of it. It's the stuff that doesn't make it go away.
Right. I don't know. Yeah.
Archival museum glass or something. I don't know. But yeah. Thank you for the nice words in the book, because I'm really proud of it, and I've never written a book before. But you can also buy it on Kindle, and you can also buy it on Audible if you go to Amazon, and you can also buy my book. And of course, there's a few other used books up there that are the same price as mine. They're trying to, what do you do? Can't do anything about that. There's not a lot of used books up there on my book, which is good, because I sign every book, and if somebody wants it personalized, there's a spot on my tompettyandme.com page where you can, when you buy the book, it's a note to the author, and it says, to Bill or to my wife, whatever. And the amazing thing about that is I get so many kids buying my book. When I say kids, sign this to my father, Bill, who turned me on to Tom Petty when I was 14. And I get a lot of that. which is great because it just means that, Tom's music will last forever.
Have you thought about writing another book?
Well, I told you the book. I read the book to you. No, I have.
That's why I'm asking. That's why I'm saying that.
I thought about doing another one, but to me, it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life is to write a book. And there's so many little nuances that you have to go through. Like you have to hire a line-by-line editor, to make sure the period's in the right place or the hyphens, and sometimes I would sit down and I waited quite a few months to even start on it because I didn't want people to think I'm a money-grabbing guy off of Tom. And I put it out a year later after his death. I put it out on October 20th, his birthday in 2018, I think.
He owes his whole career to you. I mean, I can't say that. I mean, the guy was a super talented guy, but he'd been dropped by MCA Records. He was about to be dropped by ABC Records. Clive Davis turned him down, the man with the golden ears. So you tell me what would have happened if I hadn't accidentally picked up that record. Now, does Mike Campbell, has he read the book? Each member of the band has one. Like I talked to Benmont maybe a couple of years ago, and he said, "John, I want to tell you, your book is sitting on my nightstand next to me, but I just can't pick up a book about Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers right now because they're still not over it. I'm not over it. Yeah. And whether they've read it or not, I haven't really. I still stay in touch with Mike every now and then and Ben, but it's a touchy subject. Mike Campbell's on the new Ian Hunter album that's coming out in like a week.
Oh no, I didn't know that. Yeah. He played. Actually, I sold the book to somebody named Ian Hunter about 6 months ago. I have no idea if it's the same one, but I didn't know that. And he's got his Dirty Knobs tour going on. Yeah. And he's just a great guy. Michael's a great guy. Everybody in that band, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, were just nice, decent people. Yeah. Did you saw the 6-hour like the 6 DVD set of the documentary on Tom Petty? Yeah. You're not in that? No. For some reason, I'm left out of the thank yous. That's a pretty heavy-duty documentary, man. There's like all kinds of dirt in that thing. It was a great time. I saw one show there during that period, and it was just like them. They were just unhinged, playing what they wanted to play. And John Lee Hooker comes on stage, and Tom's in Seventh Heaven. He's playing Gloria and Louie, and it was a great time for the band. Okay, well, I get it. But about, we'll do it again because I love talking to you. You got a great podcast. All right, Jon Scott, thank you so much for coming back on the show. It's always nice to talk to you. Michael Butler, thank you for having me. And it's a pleasure. And it's one of the most fun interviews I've ever done. Well, I appreciate it, man. I really do. I swear to God, serious. I really appreciate it. I do. Yeah. Well, I don't tell no lies. I just can't do it. And friends, tell Jon Scott, if you listen to this, reach out to Jon Scott and tell him you heard him on the Rock and Roll Geek show, so he didn't waste an hour and 9 minutes of his life. And tell him that. They can go to my Facebook page, Tom Petty and me, and like us right there, and jump in and chime in and say whatever you want to say. But and we do all the social media stuff. It's almost getting like too much. There's so many people trying to hack you in these days, and I hate that. Yeah. I hate that. But anyway, it's all good. Jon Scott, enjoy the rest of your Monday night, and what are you eating for dinner tonight? Meatloaf. Oh, that's not too bad. I'm having some ribs on the grill, so it's pretty close. Oh, there you go. Better get them off the grill, turn them over. I got them wrapped in foil, and it's on Keep Warm. It's a Traeger, so there you go. I got to go eat them before they dry out. All right, Jon Scott. Buddy. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you later. Talk to you later. Right, bye. Bye-bye. There you go, Jon Scott. Good guy. Good rock and roll stories, too. Okay, I'm pulling up YouTube here. I'm trying to find Keith Moon. The kids are all right. We'll see if this plays here, okay?
Maybe not. We're gonna have to probably have a ad here.
When you buy music,
let me turn off the Sweetwater ad. Okay. Da 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 da. I don't know how this song sounds, so we'll listen to it together.
I don't mind other guys dancing with my girl. That's fine. I know them all pretty well.
All right, you know how to reach me, friends. It's a value for value. Thank you for the donations. Here's Keith Moon. I'll talk to you soon, friends. rockandrollgeek@gmail.com.
It's a rock and roll geek train wreck.